get smart.
Oh yeah, the shoe phone, yeah. Are the dignitaries coming, do you know? Here it goes. Want to take another one?
Oh yeah, take 2 or 3 or 4. Yeah, no. All you do is 3.
Press the button.
Yeah. And then that's what I do.
Started now. My name is Emily Jolliffe, for those of you who don't know me, and I'm the Director and Chief Curator of the Billy Bishop Museum, and I'm here to introduce our board chair, Gloria Haybart.
I've got this big long speech here, whether I give it or not, I haven't decided yet. Bonjour, Ani, hello. Welcome to the Billy Bishop Museum here on the territory of the Anishinaabeg Nation, the people of the 3 fires known as the Ojibwe, Odawa, and Potawatomi nations, and miigwech to the Saugeen Ojibwe Nation. That's the Chippewas of Nawash and the Chippewas of Saugeen. They're the traditional keepers of this land and these waters around us. I'm always honored to be here to this event, to these men and women, these ordinary men and women that have served our country in the past, those we honored, and those who are serving now. And you know, it amazes me how you talk to people and they say, I figure it's an extraordinary thing that you are doing and have done. Ordinary people have gone out there and taken on what to me is an extraordinary job. You're out there, who knows what you're going to face. Oh, maybe you're just pushing papers in an office somewhere. Well, pushing papers is pretty hard too. Or you're out there helping with natural disasters at home and abroad. Or you go into the nursing homes, helping people when the deadly disease is raging. You're recently over there in Afghanistan trying to bring home those who helped us in that terribly long war and a costly one. You're ordinary people doing extraordinary work, and yet there's no bragging. I talk to you, I read a lot of these, I read your what you said, and it's just like, well, we just went out and did my job. My dad, he never talked much about his service in the Second World War in the Medical Corps, but I got talking to him one time and I said, well, you were in it right from the beginning. And he said, yeah. He said, yeah, Archie and Norm Toller, my buddies, we went down, we signed up, we did what we had to do. Tommy Holmes, when he was asked after those heroic efforts he made to help his buddies, they asked him, what the heck were you doing? He said, well, I thought that's what everybody did. He was doing his job. And you're doing your job, but what the heck? I sure as heck wouldn't want to be out there doing it. Getting out there, trying to keep people apart that don't like each other very much. Going into war to try to bring a better way of life to all those people out there that don't have what we have. So, miigwech, thank you guys and gals, what you have done and what you're doing. Ordinary people doing extraordinary work. Thank you. Bonjour. Thank you.
Thank you, Gloria. And now I'd like to introduce the chair of our Veterans Committee and vice chair of the board, Dave Alexander.
Thank you. In 1950, working as a stenographer, Corporal Alice Bigger was walking to the post office one day to post a letter when a recruiter for the Royal Canadian Air Force stopped her on the street. Her brother was already in the RCAF, so she followed in his footsteps and signed up there right on the spot. Corporal Bigger began her initial training in Saint-Hubert, Quebec, before being transferred to the United Kingdom and subsequently Metz, France. It was her job to keep track of all the servicemen in the RCAF Air Division headquarters and the associated 4 wing stations in West Germany.
And this is Alice's plaque. Sorry, you can clap. She's not here today.
Alice was up at Seasons.
Yes, she was up at Seasons,
Yeah.
correct.
Master Sailor Ashley Chamberlain signed up for military service in August of 2008 at Canadian Forces Recruiting Center in St. John's, Newfoundland and Labrador at 17 years of age. Currently, Master Sailor Chamberlain is Senior Financial Services Administrator at the 4th Canadian Division Training Center, Meaford. Sergeant Trish Cox enlisted for military service in London on February 17, 1998. Finishing her diploma at Fanshawe College, she was first assigned to number 4 Royal Canadian Regiment and was subsequently transferred to 1 RCR. She has risen through the ranks, becoming sergeant, being deployed twice in Afghanistan. Sergeant John Ferguson enlisted on April 3rd, 1940 in Toronto, just 3 days after his 18th birthday. After completing his basic training, he embarked for the United Kingdom. Sergeant Ferguson was assigned to Royal Air Force Bomber Command as a radio operator direction finder, helping disabled aircraft return to the United Kingdom. Unfortunately, since we began this whole process, and we had a lovely interview with John Ferguson, and he is since deceased. But we can still have a round of applause. Nicholas is with us. Lance Corporal Nicholas Goody completed his basic training at Yorkshire, United Kingdom, which he later discovered had been under his grandfather's command. He then proceeded to Catterick Garrison in North Yorkshire, England, following his grandfather's footsteps into the Royal Corps of Signals. After 4 years, Lance Corporal Goody desired a different challenge and transferred to the infantry. Thank you. Warrant Officer Tricia Joliffe enlisted for military service in London in June 1994 with the Elgin Regiment. She completed her armored basic training at Petawawa during the summer of 1994. Warrant Officer Joliffe participated in Operation Palladium in Bosnia in 2001, where she was an armored crewman and traveled much of the country during her 6-month deployment. Flight Officer Long, Clarence Long, originally enlisted with the Grey and Simcoe Foresters in June of 1940, but transferred to the Royal Canadian Air Force in March of 1941. On February 9th, 1943, Flight Officer Long was taken on strength by 15th Squadron, Royal Air Force. 10 days later, Sterling BF 378T took flight with a crew of 7 aboard for an operational attack on Germany and was later reported missing. Long was assigned as the air crew's navigator. Lieutenant Colonel Mackenzie, Distinguished Service Order, enlisted on September 8, 1939 as an officer with the 48th Highlanders of Canada for active service just 2 days before Canada declared war on Germany. He continued to rise through the ranks as he was attached to Lieutenant General Bernard Montgomery's staff in 1942. On June 24, 1944, Lieutenant Colonel Mackenzie was appointed commanding officer of the 48th Highlanders. As the Highlanders fought their way across the Lamoni River in northern Italy later that year, Mackenzie was awarded the Distinguished Service Order for, quote, outstanding leadership and resolute determination, end quote. He was subsequently killed when the 48th Highlanders were relocated with the 1st Canadian Infantry Division to the Netherlands in April of 1945. Warrant Officer Ernie Nadjawan enlisted for military service in 1951 and achieved the rank of Warrant Officer in the Royal Canadian Air Force by the end of his 35-year career in 1986. During his decades of service, Warrant Officer Nadjawan was an Air Force mechanic and shop supervisor who ran his own para-hangar. He spent the last 5 years of his service in Ottawa. Sergeant Megan Richards, who's with us today, enlisted for military service in the spring of 2007 at Lindsay, Ontario. She was promoted from private to corporal in 2011, followed by master corporal and her present rank of sergeant. Sergeant Richards has been a medical technician providing basic care for current Canadian Armed Forces personnel aboard ships and other taskings, including command and operations positions. Master Warrant Officer Steve Rose originally enlisted with the Royal Canadian Navy before he switched to land forces due to seasickness. He served aboard HMCS Terra Nova and with the 5th Combat Engineering Regiment. MWO Rose was stationed in Chilliwack, British Columbia, based Borden, Ontario, and Gagetown, New Brunswick. While in Afghanistan, MWO Rose always liked to purchase local gifts that he could send home to his family in Canada. He became attached to a 10-year-old boy who sold small handmade bracelets. Unfortunately, Master Warrant Officer Rose passed away in April of 2019. Finally, also with us today, Corporal Donald Young enlisted for military service in 1965 at Toronto Recruiting Centre. He completed his basic training at Shiloh, Manitoba. He then attended the Royal Canadian School of Artillery at Shiloh, qualifying as a gunner and surveyor. Corporal Young remembers being in Winnipeg and then driving out to Rogers Pass in British Columbia for avalanche control in 1965. A picture of him feeding a black bear that had wandered into their camp appeared in a national newspaper. Numerous friends back home recognized him. Thank you.
I want to thank everyone who came today. We really appreciate your support and recognition of these wonderful veterans that we have for 2020. The 2021 Honoring Our Local Veterans ceremony is set to take place at the Legion the final Sunday in October. So it would be great if you could all join us then and honor a new batch of veterans. I'd just like to do some house cleaning things right now and also mention our politicians, of course. Would you like to come up and say a few things, Alex Ruff?
Well, considering we're in a unique spot right now,
I meant to ask you what to say.
I'm not gonna speak as the former MP and hopefully maybe the future one. I'll speak as Alex Ruff, retired colonel, and I just want to say thank you to all the recipients, the ones here, present. Your service means a lot, and I want to thank all of you for being here today, because the best way we can pay tribute to those that have gone before us and that have served this country is to never forget. And I want to thank the Billy Bishop Museum and all the team here for everything you do to make sure we never forget. So thank you all, especially thank you guys. All the best. Thanks.
MPP Bill Walker here.
Thank you very much, Emily. It's It's always been and always will be the biggest humbling privilege to come to these type of ceremonies, to say thank you to our veterans and to their families, and to our current members and those members that have retired and those members that will come after. We truly are living in the greatest nation in the world, and I think you said it best, ordinary people doing extraordinary things. And that to me says everything about anyone who has ever served in any capacity to make lives better for anyone else in our country and across the world. So to all, and again, a special to you, Alex, for your service as well, both in the military and on your campaign trail these days. Best of luck. I'm not supposed to probably say that in a partisan sense, but I think today I'm going to say it. So thank you so much, and to all of you and to your family members, thank you so much.
And we also have Mayor Ian Body in attendance.
You know, I was just noticing it's pretty obvious that Bill's wife and my wife didn't phone each other before they dressed us this morning. Bill's the better looking twin of the two of us. And the younger one. So I bring greetings on behalf of the City of Owen Sound and Council. Owen Sounders are pretty proud of their history and their sense of culture. We're proud of our arts.
Sorry,
That's okay. And our sports, and it's events like this, and a building like this, and people like all of you that make our heritage and our culture and our history important to us and keep it alive. So on behalf of the city, I want to thank all of you, all of the recipients. I want to thank everyone also that is here. I sound like Alex, don't I? It used to be bad enough that I had to follow Bill and Larry. It's just Alex has just pushed the bar a little bit higher for Bill and I. It's getting more difficult. Maybe this isn't the proper thing to say, but I don't care. When Vietnam ended in the States, there wasn't a lot of support for the Vietnam veterans. And there may be questions about how Afghanistan has ended. And the historians in the future can decide if the politicians made the right decision. But we've got to thank you guys that went to Afghanistan, that carried our torch, that did the right thing to take the Canadian way of life over there. And I hope you all feel a sense of pride, and that you, as the veterans that went over there, do not second guess for 1 second your effort or what you've done. I think this is an important time to remind people of that, and to make sure that we as Canadians say thank you to our veterans from Afghanistan that went to Afghanistan and everywhere else, and those that haven't gone away, that supported our military, supported our Canadians that did go away, supported our military, supported our way of life, and took our way of life around the world. I think it's so important that we never question the efforts and the dedication of the people that carried that flag on their shoulder and went. So I want to say thank you, and I'm not sure if this is a proper time to have done that, but I think it's an important message. So I want to say thank you to everyone from the Billy Bishop Museum that puts this together every year and keeps the heritage going, to all of you that are involved, and to all the recipients. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor Body. Yeah, I think those are very important words right now, especially. So as I was saying before, some housekeeping things right now. On display in the museum, we have very special artifacts that were recently donated to us from Doug Barber and his family, the family of Clarence Long, flight officer. If they're invited to go in and see the artifacts first, but anyone else who would like to see them, can you please line up, because we want a few people in the museum at a time, so we'll just go by single file if that's all right. Also, there's an exhibit upstairs. Some of the Freedom Riders might have seen it, but it was co-curated by Mike Woodross, Roger Weron, and Steve Lehman, and it has artifacts from their various tours as well. And I'm forgetting something. Oh yes, Mike would like to make an announcement as well. Thank you all for coming.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, staff members of the Billy Bishop Museum, to our still serving members and veterans. On behalf of the Canadian Veteran Freedom Riders, we just want to say what an honor it is to be here annually. A brief background on the Canadian Veteran Freedom Riders. I started the club in 2012 with our CVFR members, who, as everyone knows, when you start any club, if you don't have supportive members, you don't have a club. I just want to express my sincere appreciation to every single member of the Canadian Veteran Freedom Riders while we're here in front of everyone. You deserve it. So we do various types of work. We're working with local veterans on emergency response, where we could get in there within less than 24 hours, make sure they have groceries, sometimes bills paid, if they need help moving. We are involved with moving forward on various other projects, such as grave sites and parks and so on and so on. We were so fortunate to have a park named after Corporal Robert T. James Mitchell in Owen Sound, and we really appreciate that there, Mayor. So, to no further ado, I want to call up our executive, Don Young, who's going to present a donation to Billy Bishop Museum. We meet again.
Yes.
Okay, on behalf of the Canadian Veteran Freedom Riders, LLRP, Bruce-Grey-Owen Sound, we'd like to present Billy Bishop Museum veteran, supporting our local veterans fundraising, a donation of $1,000.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, one. Okay, look this way. 1, 2, 3. Okay. Go ahead, sir.
Hang on.
I'm good, I'm good.
Okay, I'm good too.
Don't worry. That's better.
Bill's gonna
See
get
my
one.
face now.
Thanks, brother.
I guess I could have spit it down. Okay.
Thank you very much. Yes. Oh, my bud. Thank you very much, Freedom Riders. This is very generous of you, and will help us to continue to do our Veterans Honor Rates, and help us continue with our work. It's important, and we appreciate it very much. Thank you.